Hello, everybody, and welcome to Quantum Leap Revisited, a show that we do once a week where we talk about the classic series starring Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell. And today we're going to be discussing the episode The Curse of Ptah-Hotep, which is actually the 20th episode of the fourth season. So it's season 4, episode 20. So we're already kind of deep in the series at this point. A unique episode because, as most of you know, usually it takes place in the United States, but in this case, we somehow ended up in Egypt. So it's kind of a cool episode. We talked a lot prior to this week about how season 4 takes a lot of swings and tries a lot of different ideas. And sometimes it works well, and sometimes maybe it doesn't work as well. But this one's a pretty interesting episode. And with me, as usual, I have this wonderful panel of gentlemen. First of all, I have with me Ro from the Sacrif Podcast, also known as Ro from the Sacrif Scuttlebutt Podcast, also known as Ro, the founder of the Red 5 Network. He's a broadcast news veteran. He has his own podcast about science fiction, a lot of Star Wars stuff. He also has his own YouTube channel. You can hear his podcast anywhere, Apple, Amazon, anywhere you choose. And how's it going, Ro?
It's going fantastic. Good to be here.
Yeah, so how'd you feel, this...
No motorboating?
No, I don't think so.
Excellent. Good.
I think you're not motorboating today. Sometimes Row motorboats, but
for some
today,
reason, yeah.
Today it sounds like you're not motorboating. But in any case, I hope your volume is high enough. But I don't know. Maybe it's just a me thing. Script maybe you would know.
I have no idea.
Row, talk for a second.
Yeah, I could bring it up a little bit.
A little bit, I think a little bit, like a smidge. Yeah. So, this was an interesting episode, Ro. Are you looking forward to our discussion about it?
I am definitely looking forward to the discussion. I watched it last night, and we talk about this season swinging for the fences. This one was kind of a solid episode. I've got a problem with a couple of episodes this season, and we'll get to it. But I think overall I enjoyed it. I'm obviously a big Indiana Jones fan, so this kind of had little bits of parallel and stuff like that. So, looking forward to sharing thoughts and exchanging ideas here.
And we already have a $5 super chat from our very own Nick, the Backyard Tardis, who is busy with a locksmithing emergency. He says, outside of studio budget, there's no canon reason for it to be in U.S.
True.
I'm trying to understand what he means. Does it mean like in any other week or this week?
I guess story-wise, no?
I mean, I think that...
Well, I mean, he can go to anybody, anywhere, anytime. And this isn't the first time Sam has been out of the United States. I mean, he was in the plane heading towards Bermuda. That's technically out of continental U.S. So
yeah,
that's true. That was sort of a gray area, but you're right. He was actually out of the continental U.S. It's kind of strange that they sort of said that he could only be in the U.S. Technically, he should have been able to pop up anywhere, really, but
no, he can. That's the thing. Like it just. They haven't really explored much with it. And I guess, this was the first time they could be like, hey, we got a story where we can actually like have Sam in another country.
Mm-hmm.
So let's.
He was in Vietnam. That's true.
Oh, right. That's true. He was in Vietnam. So yeah, this would be like maybe the third time, I guess. He was
right. There's Bermuda, there's Vietnam, there's this. And I think that when I recall one other episode, one that actually is not my favorite episode, I feel like that episode has him in Europe, if I remember correctly. But I could be wrong, but there's something that I vaguely recall that happens maybe in Europe. Am I wrong, Script? Is there not one like that?
There might be one next season. It's just hard for me to kind of remember it.
The one with, how there used to be a serial with a guy that... Never mind.
Okay.
The guy that counted numbers on Sesame Street.
Yes, the count.
Right.
Count.
Wasn't there something like that it ends up that he's in like London or Europe? I don't want to spoil for anybody. I thought that there was one episode.
Spoil that. I can't remember. There is another one with a woman who's on her way to get married. And we won't spoil that episode. That's coming next season too.
Oh, that's right. Also, that one that we saw that he's on a boat and getting married. Where was he on his way to in that one?
I think he was just the captain of the boat, or at least one of the hands.
No, he was trying to get with his ex-wife who.
Oh, right. Oh, you're talking about the cruise with
Right. Where was the cruise heading?
I don't know, but they were stateside still.
I see. All right, none of this matters. And what matters is that we're here, and we're here to talk about the episode, and all three of us are here, and there's a wonderful chat hanging out with us, which is always great. And then I'm just going to find this file and put it up on the screen. So let's start off with the first part of Ptah-Hotep. And now I'll embiggen it.
Please do.
I also have to be very careful this time. Last time, apparently, I may have done something wrong when it came to clips and stuff, but that's a whole nother story.
Oh, okay.
Because usually, I would say that usually what we do is considered fine, but sometimes once in a while we run into an issue. Hopefully, we won't run into it today, if you know what I mean.
Let's hope so.
Crossing fingers.
The only other time was with Sean because he did the video and there was something that he clicked it for a few seconds. And for those, it's so funny how there are systems in place that if you have like the smallest clip that they don't like 5, 6, 7 seconds, they'll do something. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I don't understand the logic of YouTube because I see people playing clips all day long and they're still up. I don't get it.
I mean, it's a strange logic. Or sometimes I personally, even if there's some videos, I guess what happens is they get maybe even get a claim or something, and they just say, you know what, I'm just going to leave this here, and whatever happens, happens. For me, though, I prefer not to have any. So if somebody has an issue, I prefer to resolve it in the quickest way possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's why if you watch last week's episode of our show, you'll see that there's a few cuts there that I had no choice, but I had to do after the fact. Gotcha. In any case, we're here, and hopefully this time it'll be okay. Theorizing that one could time travel with his own lifetime will be the leap home. And then he's like, oh, here lies the Ptah-Hotep.
Ptah-Hotep, yeah.
Ptah-Hotep. Oh boy. Do 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 do. And then they go here and they're like, oh, it reminds me of Lisa Dar. Is she known or something? I didn't recognize her.
No.
Yeah, I remember seeing her in a bunch of stuff when she was younger, but I don't know if she's been doing anything too much. Like she is a character actress. She's been working fairly steadily, but I don't recall her in anything big in a while.
Yeah, never heard of her.
Yeah,
I don't know. She seemed familiar, but I just couldn't really tell.
Well, yeah, because she's guest starred on Murder, She Wrote, ER. She did a bunch of episodes of Ellen, with Ellen DeGeneres. She did this TV series I never heard of called Popular, which is ironic. She did a few episodes of Life as We Know It. Yeah, and she's been a couple episodes of Weeds, so she's been around all over the place.
I see. Well, right here I see that it was the person that wrote it is Chris Rupenthal, which is also one of the producers. Mm-hmm. I think that in the past he may have been a co-producer, but then they boosted him to a producer at some point. And it's directed by Joe Napolitano again, which is already like a name that we've seen a number of times.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I almost feel like they're settling in here with their crew. Like this, I don't know how many more he'll do, Joe Napolitano, but it's interesting because I feel like we've seen this variation. These names keep popping up somehow. So this is more of like their crew. That's the way I see it. Unless maybe this is the last time Joe Napolitano does one. But if he does more, I'm thinking that like they've taken a liking to him.
Yeah, usually a lot of television shows after a few seasons they end up having directors that they'd like to work with again that they can really rely on. So you have a lot of them that come back if their schedule allows it.
You're getting a whole bunch of super chats there.
I am. So first of all, there's Ron Donofero. Price hit mute.
Oh, on the video. Yeah, the audio's still there.
Oh, you're right. Maybe that's part of the reason that something. Although we didn't hear anything.
No, we didn't.
No,
but something happened. But it's good that you told me that. Thank you very much, Ron Donofero. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Always appreciate that. And Backyard Tardis, another $5. Thank you. When I watch it live, I now hear Price say "the leap home" in my head.
That's funny. Yeah.
I mean, I try to say it the way she says it. That's kind of the way, the Ziggy narration is, I believe.
And when I watch the episodes, I kind of picture Price mimicking certain characters in my head too. Oh, don't go in there, yo.
So in this part, but you'll have to remind me some of this. I don't know. Sometimes there's episodes the dialogue sticks with me more. Some of them, like, I'm trying to think here. There's something.
I was surprised how much Sam retained when he got in here. Usually I'm used to the Swiss cheese brain where he's kind of trying to get oriented, but he jumped into character right away in this episode. It seems like to me. He was at the hieroglyphs.
He seemed very excited. He seemed very excited.
He was,
And I think that basically he says something about an article that he read in 1963 or something, but it's only 1957.
Right.
Isn't there something like that?
So,
that he's
yeah.
He's like, it's like that article I read in 1963.
And she's like,
1963?
In the future?
In the future?
It's an article where they discovered something in 63, and and she's like, oh, in the future? And he's like, 1863.
Right. And then they walk out, and then I love Al. Al's just like, he's wearing red again, which is, again, an element that I see that they're leaning into here. And it is different shirts.
Shadow.
Yeah, I mean, and he's casting a shadow. Yeah, they don't think about that kind of stuff. They're just like,
I really enjoy the shot. Wherever they shot, they said, you know what? We're in this quarry or whatever, made it look like Egypt. Let's get a nice crane shot, and let's take advantage of this. I like this shot.
Script, do you have any idea where they filmed it? Because I don't know where this is. I was trying to think, where did they actually film it? And I agree with you, Ro, by the way.
Oh God. It looks like probably an area around the Vasquez Rocks region, because there's a couple of valleys and old quarry pits not far from there, if memory serves. I haven't had the luxury of being able to go out there too many times because I haven't worked on many projects that needed to film in that area. The other part too is this also might be a lot near Disneyland, because they would have had the Indiana Jones adventures ride there around this time, where it's like a big show where they have like the nice stage of the desert for Indiana Jones going to blow up the Ark of the Covenant. So,
well, I mean, I will say this: it doesn't look too much like Egypt, but it's good enough.
Serviceable.
It's serviceable enough, yes.
Yeah,
and I agree. I like the shots. What you were saying, Ro, with the crane.
Yeah.
This is really like, and again, keep in mind, this isn't the kind of thing that we have today, technology here, that they kind of have this thing. I like it. Yeah, it's a nice shot. And then Al's like, oh, who's the pretty lady? Yeah, I like her. Don't you love shorts? Is that already here? I don't know what it was. There was such a thing.
Look at her in the shorts.
Look at her. I love shorts, Sam. That used to be, I loved when Al was like that. I don't know. Today it's all like non-PC and whatever, but back in the day, man, Al was funny. This was funny stuff. He's like, Al, which place is my tent? He's like, well, Sam, I would look at the mirror there where you need to do shaving.
Right.
And then he goes.
That was a good deduction.
It was. And he's like, Sam, your name is, what's his name? Dale? Cole? Yeah. Cole? So what's it? Coven, what Dale? What's his last name?
I can't remember.
Dale Conway. I knew it had a C in it. Sam, you're Dale Conway. And then they go and he's like, well, we just found the thing of Ptah-Hotep. And he's like, well, in a few days, you all disappear. There's no record of this. Does he already know about the sandstorm, or he doesn't know about it yet?
No, he doesn't know about the sandstorm. He just knows that they disappear.
You all disappear. There's no record of that. And then, like,
Al gets a little lost in the hot scientist chick.
Right.
How can you not?
I understand Al. I understand him.
Price is like, I can relate to Al.
I don't think anyone would never not understand Al when it comes to a woman.
Right. I mean, the thing is that, he was over the top, and maybe, other people aren't as over the top as him, but there's something relatable about how he is in that sense. And I think it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's relatable, but today, like, you can't say it's relatable because people get upset. But I actually thought he was
let
a
him
funny
get
character.
upset. This is fun.
Right, exactly. And then I left the super chat. So in any case, we're back here, and there's something about a cobra and a parakeet or something. He's like, oh, where's the parakeet?
I guess he flew the coop, and then snake reveal.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Al says something about Howard Carter, which
The guy that found King Tut.
Yeah, which I misheard. I thought he said, and I put that in the chat with you guys last night. I thought he said that Carter was bit by a snake, but I'm like, I don't remember him being bit by a snake, but I think it was the parakeet. Carter had a parakeet, and that's
okay. Did his parakeet get bit by a snake as well? That I don't know.
By a snake.
So they go, what is it, madam? Oh, well, the snake, it ate the canary, Mr. Coleman's canary. And then this guy arrives, Dr. Ali Razul, or whatever his name is.
Ali Razul, who he is played by John Kapelos, or Kapelos. He's a really prolific character actor. Has been in over 200 productions.
I feel like I've seen him in a million things.
He's been on this show before, though. I think I remember seeing him in season 2.
It's possible.
Nope, this is his first episode here, but
in
the early 90s, he played a lot of character villains similar. The one that's most notable at this time, he played Lucky Leon in an episode of Lois and Clark.
Oh, okay.
And his gimmick was that he would be selling objects that had spy gear in them, so he could learn, private information, and then sell it on the black market. One was a shower buddy that had a camera inside that he gave to Lois, but Lois gave to Clark, so he wouldn't see Lois. We wouldn't see Lois showering.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've seen him in a lot of stuff. He has a very kind of distinct look that I feel like I've seen him in a lot of things. He's good in this one too.
He's been in Seinfeld.
Seinfeld,
been all
yes,
over the place. Yeah,
yeah. He was in Forever Night TV series for like a couple of seasons. Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. He's for those of you who are in our orbit of the YouTube sphere, if you know who Robert Meyer Burnett is, he did recently released a noir style detective audio drama called True Noir, and that actor is in one of the episodes as well.
So at this point, remind me, he comes in and they tell him about the discovery, I guess.
He's all excited. Yeah.
Right. He's excited. And then, but then when they go and look at it, this isn't actually where the Ptah-Hotep is buried. This is like a place where it's now speculated that maybe somebody robbed the place.
Tomb robbers, yeah, because they were looking for the sarcophagus, and they saw some drag marks on the floor, and they figured that tomb robbers got to it.
And because it's legendary to have been crafted out of gold, and that's why it would have been taken.
And then they suddenly hear, and they read something from the wall, and it's like, oh, blah, 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 death. And then it's like, and then like they go out, and it's like,
he who disturbs the tone of Ptah-Hotep will release death.
Right. And then this guy just, dropped dead because of this thing.
Because of scorpions. Which they look like adult scorpions, and they don't usually have lethal dosages of venom in their stingers because they just try to scare you. It's their children. Like, this is a thing from the Indiana Jones movie, but I learned it also during Egyptology class.
The bigger they are, the safer they are, right?
Yeah, the bigger they are, the safer they are. The smaller they are, that because the babies are so terrified, they release all of their venom in one go, and that's what kills you.
Ah, I see.
So in this one here, you got 2 scorpions. I guess they're trying to imply that 2 of them stung them, and that's a lot of venom to.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe there are more.
And then, so basically, this guy is dead. I'm trying to remember what was his name.
Ghoul, Gal, Gale.
Yeah, it could be
Gama?
close enough. And then he goes. He says something like, "You
It's
are
Gamal.
not."
It's Ali and Gamal are the 2 guys. Yeah.
Ali and Gamal. He's like, "You are not really from Egypt. You are not a son of Egypt. That's why you don't understand all the different." I don't. What does he say? He doesn't understand. There's something like that, right? Something about the speech about how
he has Egypt in his heart, but he is not of Egypt in that type of thing. Yeah.
You have Egypt in your heart, but you're not of Egypt. And then,
Are they talking? Have they mentioned the curses yet?
Yes.
I forgot. Okay. So this is where it starts to the notion of this dig being cursed starts to get fueled. Obviously,
Yes.
with the death of fake Salah.
fake Salah, yeah. He completely is fake Salah. I mean, he does a good job. I like him, and he has a more kind of sinister vibe than Salah, but he is sort of a fake Salah. And then he's supposed to take off in his
Belloc.
fake Bella. He's like a cross between Belloc and Salah. They tried to like combine, do a hybrid between the 2 characters. And then his car gets stuck.
His car, the wheel axle breaks, so they gotta fix that.
They gotta fix that. He sends for a repair.
With Allah willing, or something like that. I don't know what he says. And
they're back
with Allah willing, I don't know. He says something like that.
Something like that.
And then
that statue in the background looks like a children's programming character, doesn't it?
Which statue?
Go back. Right there.
Oh, that one. Yeah, it looks like a giant mouse or something.
Yeah.
But it's a ram. It's supposed to be
like
a ram.
Chuck E. Cheese, but like in Egyptian style or something.
Yeah.
So then Al doesn't like to be here, and I think Sam's like, "Well, you can go if you want," or something. Or something like that.
We got a chip problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, Al, I don't understand it. Where's the real thing? And then, is this the part that he discovers the scratches on the floor? I'm not sure where this happens.
No, she does.
No, she discovered the scratches, but he's looking around to try and see, like, okay, is this the actual tomb or is this a
right, a fake? A fake, yes. At the time, there were people, there were pharaohs that put a phony one.
Right. And yeah, you're right.
Like a fake out one, and that's what he thinks that is. And then when they're sitting here, and he's like, "Would you believe?"
She calls him to go have dinner with everybody, and he doesn't want to. And she reminds him, well, that they are paying for the excavation. So why don't you come on out and show face and you can come back later. But
schmooze with the schmooze with the money people. Yeah.
Right. So Al goes outside, goes back, and then he's like, 500 years ago, I don't know if it's 500, my people were sitting like this here when burying their pharaoh, probably like 5,000. I don't know what he's saying. It's not 500 years.
5,000 years ago.
5,000, yeah. 5,000 years. And then what does Sam respond? I don't quite remember.
He says, row, row, row.
Well, he says that when he would be reading about Egypt as a boy, it was like traveling back through time.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then is this the part that Al shows up and he goes there? Sam, there's a sandstorm. That's why everybody disappeared.
Yeah.
Yep. You guys feel a sandstorm coming? No, just a little breezy.
Right. Nope, I don't feel anything.
And then he's like, if you don't get everybody out of here now, then you'll never make it. And then I think Sam is like, I have to find Ptah-Hotep, and then I can leap. Or something like that, right?
Yeah, I was unclear as to what their mission was because, again, this episode seems like it ended quicker than, I don't know, maybe my attention span, but it just ended too quickly, and I'm like, wait a minute, what were they there for?
Well, that's the other part too. So Al hasn't figured out why Sam is here.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam thinks he's there to kind of discover the tomb,
Right.
so that he can like reveal it to the world, because it never gets discovered. Even and Al makes references like even as of 1999, it hasn't been discovered. And so that's what Sam thinks he's trying to do. But as they learn more about the disappearance, he's like, no, I think we got to get you out of here. But he never just says that. Ziggy thinks that you're left in here to, survive. Like, he doesn't give us that. So we're losing that part of information, and focusing mostly on Sam's infatuation with this dig site and trying to find the real tomb of Ptah-Hotep.
Right.
I see.
What he said.
But there's not a technical glitch for Al yet, right?
Well, it started. You started to see, when he left the first time, it did,
Right, there was something
the
wrong.
door, yeah, the door didn't go up all the way, so he like looked back, but they didn't explain it at that time. It's kind of like
Right. Okay. Now I
foreshadowing.
remember.
Well, right now they're talking like Al's telling him Ziggy can't give you exact figures because there's a chip that we got that doesn't work and it's causing some problems. So we already know the chip part. And then a little bit later, when Al gets very uncomfortable, he tries to leave and the door won't open all the way. And he's yelling at Gushy to get it working. And we find out that it's the chip error.
Mm-hmm.
But Sam just took a swing here and he's like, I'm just going to knock at this wall underneath something that is not incredibly valuable with etchings into it.
Right. And script, is this where you saw the plot hole?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, as he starts to widen the hole, yeah, Price might be fortunate enough to catch it. But yes.
Let's see.
But here's one thing that they did get right about Egypt. Egyptians did use an earlier form of concrete.
Right, and then he digs here, right?
Yeah, he digs here, and as the hole gets bigger, you see a little bit of the mesh that was used by the set designers to make this wall, which they never had metal mesh during Egyptian times.
Well, they had to do the best they could. Plus, I think that back in the day when you saw this on a TV at home,
you wouldn't catch it. Yeah,
you wouldn't catch it. They didn't know that like us three would be sitting here
frame by frame,
decades later, frame by frame. In much better quality than what it was aired. Yeah,
seeing the steel drywall mesh that's used for.
It's funny though. Like if we had a time machine and we went back and somebody's like, "Hey, won't they see the drywall mesh thing?" and somebody's like, "No, like they'll never be able to see it."
The resolution's not good enough. I mean, they said that on Next Generation. They're like, why are we putting this black construction paper over top of the back screens? When people see this, no, we don't. It's not going to be broadcast in the resolution up. 20 years later, HD Blu-rays of it, you can see black taped up onto the screens of the computers and on the bridge.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, still, they couldn't have known. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They weren't thinking about that. They were thinking, okay, this is going to go on TV. It's going to be in syndication, and that's the end of it. This is this peak as it's going to be.
Right, and also I think that no matter who you are, even if at this point in time they knew that a show like Star Trek was being watched, as reruns or on videotape or whatever it was, I don't know in that moment that they're thinking that years from now people are going to be sitting like we are now. I don't think it's something that you really think about.
Right.
No, I mean, I would guarantee you that if there's a Quantum Leap convention and you talk to Scott Bakula and say, hey, in the Egypt episode, when you're breaking through the wall, did you know that you could see the wire mesh that was used to support the concrete? He's going to be like, I don't even remember that was happening at all.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I don't think he'll remember a lot of stuff. This is really insanity if you think about it, that over the course of like 4 years, they produced close to 100 episodes or whatever. I don't know if I have it exactly right, the time frame, but this is not what happens these days. You know what I mean? The type of shows you have these days, and okay, fine. Sometimes you have stuff on a network, but we all saw the quality and the level of like the new Quantum Leap.
There it is.
Sorry, I didn't mean. For a long time I haven't been mentioning it, but I'm just saying we saw what it looks like, and even Quantum Leap, the newer one, they didn't have this type of episodic order. The first season, I think they got 18 episodes, and the second season, what did they get in the second one? I don't even remember.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, the first season, they got 9 episodes, and then from the second season, they ended up getting
Oh no, I'm talking about the
22.
new one. The
the new
original
one?
one is
Oh,
the,
the new one, they only got they didn't get a full season, like a traditional full season. They got
not a traditional. I think that they started off, first of all, they were given 13, and then what happened was, is as they were moving along with the 13, it's like you told me, and I agree with you. It's not that the show was necessarily doing well, but they didn't quite have anything to replace it with, and it was sort of kind of not a complete disaster, but not really great. So they
Yeah.
gave him like an extension of like 5 episodes, and then I think it brought the first season to like 18. Now, then they renewed it for very, very surprisingly renewed it for a second season. And what they really needed to do was like to completely revamp it and cherish the opportunity they were given to do any more. And instead they like tripled down on all their weird identity politics and all this crazy stuff and just like drove it off a cliff even more.
Yeah. So like the first season technically got 18 episodes. And they did basically, it was being produced during 2021. So during the pandemic at that time. And then it was broadcast for 2022. And then it was produced late 2020. Yeah, late 2021. So broadcast in 2022. And yeah, they had it was not performing well for NBC, but because they had shuttered so many other productions due to the pandemic, they basically had a window for the next year that they decided, well, let's just keep the show and running it through. Maybe the second season will do better. And it did not. And fortunately, everything kind of went back to normal, and they decided to do what should have been done after the first pilot was screened for the executives, just kill it.
Yeah. I will never forgive them for what they did to that show, because I feel like there were so many great ideas that what they could have done, and they went and they did the worst thing possible for no reason. I think, and I'll get back to our episode. I think that years from now, not even many years, we're going to look back at this era between 2017 to where we're at now, and it's going to be embarrassing how many great IPs and shows and how many opportunities that actually, things that could have been good that were just ruined. There was a lot of poor decisions, poor decision making, and poor output. And I do believe that there will come a time that, like, not only that we're living it and we called it as we were seeing it, but years from now, I think that it'll be acknowledged how terrible this period of time was creatively. I think,
Yeah.
at least.
Well, I mean, we're already realizing it now, but I think it's going to be rather an absurd point of history.
I'm gonna. It's like, you know how today you look back at those kind of the time that people thought there would be like a nuclear or whatever, and they said duck and cover.
Yeah.
All this kind of weird propaganda we're seeing in the past 7 years will be like a duck and cover. We're all gonna.
It'll be a parallel of it. I mean, the way you can kind of define it is that the reason those ideologies were able to germinate and grow within entertainment is because entertainment was losing its integrity to begin with. I mean, you had very creative, ambitious, strong people in the industry who then either got their own children or friends of their children or something to come into places that they weren't able to earn the titles with which they had the responsibilities for. And they speculated and they guessed and they did the one mandate, which is find something new. That's how you stay alive in entertainment. You find something new. But the hidden lesson of that is it's not enough that it has to be new. It has to kind of encapsulate the things that have been successful before. And they never learned that lesson. So it was always, what's the new thing? What's the new thing? And we saw for a decade all these attempts at these various new things. And then one that kind of caught on and held true because it had a very loud vocal but small audience was a lot of the propaganda that we saw over the last decade. And now it's kind of phasing itself out. But just because it goes away doesn't mean that the vulnerabilities in those institutions are gone either. They still have to be, the right people have to get into the jobs to rebuild and repair the foundations of those things so that they can experiment with some new stuff that doesn't lean too heavily on all the failures that we've seen, and hopefully reinvigorates this type of media form for the next generation.
Totally. Well, that was a lot of very deep stuff, Scriff. We're going to go back to this.
Sure.
Sorry, this was my fault. I take responsibility. Completely went off script here. No pun intended. But I agree with everything you were saying, by the way. But yeah. In any case, what were they talking about here?
They were talking about, I guess, the death and a little bit of the curse. Al is really going to town on the curse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Sam is just trying to reaffirm everybody that no, we're okay.
There is no curse, Al. Sam, it's the curse. And then
Al is saying, well, if it was him that did it, it would be perfect sense. But being really emotional, that's what another person would do, and I think it was her. Just all this. Who killed
right? He
who?
starts suspecting people.
Yeah.
And what was it? Was it here? They already found it, right? They found the thing.
Yep.
Did they already take the jewel out or not
No,
yet?
they haven't
No,
taken
not
the
yet.
jewel out.
Right. Okay.
So
I was
she leaves
puzzled.
to go get a camera or more flash bulbs.
Right.
Right.
And then they all go outside when they see fire set to a tent.
Right. And then there's like a fire, and they remove all of this stuff and they move it.
They wanted to do it the right way, but they wanted just to get it, get the sarcophagus open. They wanted to wait for the proper equipment and stuff like that. Like, no, let's do it now. I was puzzled when Al was looking through the hole and the characters went into this room. I was puzzled as to why they just didn't have him walk through the wall.
Oh no, they talked about that. They said wherever he goes, if there's no light, he can't see anything.
But he knew that these guys were on the other side. There were like little pinpoints of light. I just thought it was weird. Yeah, because it
was after the fact. After Sam knocked a hole in there and brought in light, that's when he could actually see something.
I see. Did they establish this in previous episodes? I'm wondering.
No, they actually had an argument. Sam and Al had an argument in this here because Sam is telling Al, "Why don't you just go through the walls?" He's like, "I don't know which wall to go through, and if I do, I can't see anything. Yeah. There has to be light there. What are the odds that there's going to be light in the other tomb?" And Sam's like, "Oh yeah."
So they open the thing. It's him, and she takes the pictures and all that stuff. Not that it'll help her. There's a fire, like you said. And then what does Al tell him here? He again starts with a curse.
I think something of the curse, and you have like 15 hours before the sandstorm comes back.
And then
Oh,
and he accuses her of starting the fire because she left to go get the flash bulbs.
Yeah, Al does. Al accuses her of starting the fire.
Yeah.
At least she's wearing shorts. She is wearing shorts though. Yes. I'll give Al that. And then they go down into the thing, and I guess, is this already the part? There's a part that he snips inside the thing, or is this later?
So no, this is where they remove the crystal, the heart here,
right?
And then it closes the pincers, and then that locks them inside,
right?
And when the
door falls,
and then that's when the Belloc wannabe says he's going to go get help. And they're now decide, well, since we're here, why don't we get off the wrappings and see if we can find the key that gets him out? Because Sam's speculating like there's no canopic jars, which means none of his organs have left his corpse. So he figured that Ptah-Hotep was like, well, if he created a false chamber, he would have to give himself a way to get out if he were to really, rise back from the dead. And so we have to figure out a way to do that. And so they end up like taking all the mummification bandages off of his body, and we get to see how well preserved he is.
Right. And then when they do that, it's like he's in perfect condition or something.
He's very well preserved. Yeah.
Right.
Pruned to hell, but yeah, very well preserved.
And what's the part that he reads on the thing and he sees that he needs to press with his two arms on the two...
So
I
after
think
they
that's the next
cut out
file.
the bandages,
It's the
that's
next reel already?
Reel 2.
Okay, let's look at some of the comments here.
Sure.
So Tracy Alexander, Sam is literally arguing with Al, and yet Mustafa and Guinea didn't find that odd. Professor R2, this makes me want to watch Ptah-Hotep.
Great movie.
I haven't seen Ptah-Hotep.
You haven't seen Ptah-Hotep?
No,
Bruce Campbell plays Elvis?
Haven't seen that
either.
Ozzie Davis plays JFK?
Haven't seen it.
Oh, God.
Real change. Yes,
saw
it
it
is
in
a real
theaters.
change.
Awesome.
Tracy Alexander, plot hole. Real change. It is a real change.
Come on, Price, you got to design some T-shirts, man.
All right. I will. I definitely will. I've been planning on it. I do say it every week, but I'll take it seriously. But in the Geraldo show, Al goes through a solid wall and says that the room is behind it.
Yeah, but it's lit. It's a tunnel that leads outside. It was lit because it had all those. Because he also says, yeah, there's the gear here, everything. So, they just built it up.
Ron Donofero says, I used to say it couldn't get worse than men in women's bathroom. I've got to stop saying things like that. They take it as a challenge. I don't know the context of how that came up. Sorry, dessert. See, that's what's nice about this chat. Rob Nutskubla, this is one of the supernatural episodes. The mummy is real, which is a nice twist. It really was a curse. Yeah, they didn't do many of these that they really like give you the. Okay, there were ones that they left ambiguous. You know what I mean, or a bit spooky, and you can sort of deduce that there's something spooky about it. But this one is one that they kind of went all in. I think I agree. I'm trying to think another one where they went all in like this. Professor R2 says, you think it's bad now? Wait until Hollywood lets AI create everything. What's worse than vomit? Recycled vomit. I don't know if we're not already seeing AI creating stuff.
It's peppered throughout a couple of the Desperate studios out there, closer towards Anaheim. But the rest of them are not using it for development. They're using it for data collection of customers and trends.
All I'm saying is we don't know every writer of every show. There could be a possibility that somebody is just like, I got to write a script now. And he opens up ChatGPT, starts putting a bunch of things in there. And then he goes and maybe he doesn't use it word for word. Maybe he takes some ideas, but then he constructs like a real genuine screenplay, submits it to the studio. How can they know that he didn't do it?
Well, there's AI detection software now that the WGA employs. And so if that's detected, you don't get your full rate. A lot of writers that I know that like to promote AI, which I don't agree with, they only use those programs to create an outline, and that's their starting point. And then they completely change and redevelop the thing afterwards.
Right. Okay.
It's unrecognizable.
But
I still think it's kind of a cheat because they're basically getting the computer to use a formula of storytelling that they as writers should already have reflexive knowledge of.
Right. I guess, but I totally see. I think that we're not being told how many people, at least for the outlines, for sure. You know what I'm saying? It could be even that they asked for like some kind of script. Maybe they completely rewrite it, but some kind of blueprint or structure. Maybe it does give them.
Well, the thing is that it's strictly prohibited under the WGA. Like a studio can't commission use their AI and then give a writer a script and pay them less for it. If the writer runs that script through AI detection, and they're hired to do a rewrite of the script, they can actually throw everything of that original script out and write their own original script based on the premise that they were hired to write. And that actually allows them to get a lot more money as a result. If they decide to rewrite the AI script, that comes into copyright conflict, because currently right now, AI cannot have copywritten work, even if it's produced by an executive at a studio under the auspices of that studio. And then that causes conflict, because then, legally speaking, if someone can prove that AI did the majority of the work, then the rights to that production dissolve, in which case it becomes public domain, which means that the studio can't make money off it because anyone else can duplicate it and sell it or what have you. And it wouldn't be infringing on the studio's rights because no human being wrote or made that script, which is actually just further defined by something that was done 40 years ago with regards to like only a human person can write a screenplay. Like under the WGA, if we discovered another species that was sentient and could learn our language, we'd have to create a provision for them to be able to write and sell work in Hollywood, because currently right now they would be excluded or prohibited.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I don't think we've heard the last of AI, but Rubnut Skubla says
we haven't heard the last of it. Yeah.
Salak. There's a reason why all those strikes and all that stuff happens. People are worried for a reason. Salak, that's like
that's Salah and Balak combined.
Right. I think that's good. I actually like that. Tex Rogers says, weird, the characters are Ali and Gamal, but the real name of the actor playing Gamal is Ali.
Well, it'd be just too stereotypical for the Ali actor to play Ali.
Right. And Breakfast Club, Janitor Carl, legal. Oh, is that Janitor Carl?
Oh.
Wow, he looks a bit more plump here than he does in the Breakfast Club. Yep. It absolutely is the janitor.
That's right.
Wow, he really is a good character actor. He's a completely different vibe there. This is completely different what he does here. I feel like this is several years after the other one, and he has, he does look different. He looks like he gained a bit of weight. Not that I care, but I'm just saying, like, he doesn't 100% look the same. But now that Marla Sharandoff said it, I totally see it. Did we mention Al's red suit again? Yes, we did. Oh, right. There was something that Al says, like, Sam, I once went out with an Egyptian lady that thought she was Cleopatra, and she had a really nice asp.
Yep.
That was another great, like, Al line. Another plot hole, Sam Mass is off his face when he starts, then is suddenly on his face with no break in the sound.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you the truth. Scott Bakula was not breaking that concrete wall. That was, a crew member or a stunt double.
Murrockstrom made it. Our game ran a little longer than I thought it was going to. That's okay.
Cool.
Ghost Fixers, how's it going, everyone? It's going great. And Mary White is also saying hi to everybody. Just nice to see. And I guess that was reel one, and now we can hold on. I'm in education. This is Professor R2, and I can assure you that AI detection software is less than worthless. There's a massive rate for false positives.
Yes, there is a massive rate for false positives. Right now, Grok is the only one that's actually pretty good at it. And I know this because I last year around this time I was working in AI as a consultant.
How can you pick up on it? Because I'll tell you the truth. Once in a blue moon, there was once, I was working on a video, and I ended up, like, instead of something that I wanted to talk for about 10 minutes, it was like 15 minutes. So a few of the paragraphs I took, and I asked, like, AI if there was a way to make it shorter. And then, like, it gave me a few options. At the end, what I ended up doing was I basically took one of the shorter options and actually rewrote it based on the shorter version. I don't know how to explain that. It basically just gave me some kind of structure, but I actually just plugged whatever I was saying in there, and it helped me focus it and make it shorter. But at the same time, I used AI, to help me out of that jam because I was trying to get things done quicker, and I used it as a tool. The AI didn't know anything about the topic. It was all me saying it. But I'm still saying, you don't think anybody in all these different, like, fields is going to use AI for something? You know what I mean?
Well, one of the quick ways to determine if something is AI or not is AI rarely uses semicolons when it's rewriting something. So if you see, but what it does use a lot are dashes, as opposed to, like, sentence fractures and whatnot, because it's not traditional. It's newer grammar, but it's not traditional grammar. Most people, at least people that are in the screenwriting world, still use grammar that was taught to them as of 2005 would probably be the latest part. And most writers that enter after that don't even go write so casually with basically just like how people talk as opposed to proper grammar for scene descriptions and whatnot, that you just know that it's a human being that is screwing around. But if you run it through AI, it's a more colloquial form of grammar that tries to avoid certain punctuations that there's debate on the definition of how to use them. So semicolon is a great one because I learned this in English class. I also got it taught to me in college, and when I visited other universities and to discuss it, all of those teachers had a different interpretation of how to use the semicolon properly.
I see.
And that's one of the giveaways. So if you know how to use a semicolon, relatively proper to those mixed definitions, it's most likely human. An AI will almost never use a semicolon when it's doing a rewrite, unless you enter it into the text originally itself, and then it'll just kind of repeat it.
By the way, Scribelight, I want to say hi to him. Shout out to Scribelight, friend of the channel.
Hey, Scribe.
And Hex Rogers says, I think you could only pick up on it if you know the supposed author well. Won't sound like him. I had this experience in college. Murroxer says something really strange. He says, I've heard a music producer say that children can somehow tell from the sound of the voices and music that a song has been AI generated. He said it's weird, and he's heard others say this as well. I actually can usually tell as well. And I'll tell you why. First of all, it is getting a whole lot better. Every kind of generation, you know how they do version 1, version 2, version 3. There's a few of those AI music things that I really wrote off initially. And I'll tell you that after a number of versions, they have really, really advanced. And I think that within maybe a few years, the amount of advancements here is going to be like really, really crazy. Like right now, I can tell if you give me now a song that's AI generated, chances are that I'll be able to tell you. There's certain things that give it away, especially when it comes to the voices. But man, it's pretty impressive at this point.
Well, one of the giveaways is that in an AI singing, the diction is immaculate, where in human singing, there's always a little bit of a slur or a little bit of a stumble or something that's very, very subtle, but still at professional levels. And that's one of it's just too clean. It's too perfect. And then the other part is that the mixing is a little off.
Right, the mixing is off, and there's something else. There's something when you hear like an AI voice singing a lot of times from these, at least from the kind of generators that we have these days, even the top ones, there's something about it that you hear a little bit of overdrive or something that I can't explain. First of all, you could tell, like you said, the diction, there's something robotic about it. And also there's a little bit of like fuzz, like a fuzz. I can't really explain it. It just doesn't sound as clean as it's supposed to be. It's not 100% there, but it is really getting there. And the instrumentation, that is improved. Some instruments, you can tell it completely sounds like there's something wrong with it. But sometimes there will be something and I'll be like, wow. And even though when I hear it now, I can tell it's AI most of the time, I'll still say that there were times that I was impressed with what I was hearing, considering that it was AI, understanding that a few years from now, it's going to be crazy. But it is what it is. I mean, I'm a musician, and for me, it's, I don't know what to think about it, but it is what it is. That's the reality we live in.
It's because AI generates the lyrics, the musics, and mixes it all at the exact same time.
Right.
And because they do that, it seems a little bit off. But if they do a more comprehensive version where they're like, okay, this is the melody first. These are all the separate instruments for it first on separate tracks. This is the lyrics that go over it, and then afterwards they do a final mix and a proper mix. Then it would be incredibly convincing. But
I missed this whole thing with Ro. What about M dashes? Which one is an M dash?
Tracy said that she doesn't use semicolons a lot. She uses dashes, and I asked her.
I see.
If she likes
Honestly, I don't use the semicolons a lot either. The only place that I use semicolons is that I think when I needed in college to hand in papers, it was kind of encouraged that in certain situations you'd use it. There were certain professors and stuff that I think like that kind of stuff, and I would incorporate it. But in my own like personal life, I've never written like a semicolon that I didn't have to. You know what I mean?
And I need you to address Tex Rogers' comment at 9:57.
9:57. Oh, okay. Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast. Hey.
No, maybe my 9:57. Here you go. This question right here.
Okay, is AI used to make your mouth move? So actually, it's not AI. I actually did a little bit of
Coding, technically. Yeah.
technically very very light coding that I did myself, and I made it work somehow. And it's not AI. It's it hears the volume of my voice, and based on that, it happens. But yeah, it took a bit of work for me. It wasn't something that happened automatically. I actually had to do something for it to work.
Yeah,
So
I've been working on mine to move my glasses or have something light up when I speak for months now. It's not easy to do.
right, it took a lot of also like playing around with it. It failed. It didn't work. Like it seems like it would be simple and silly, but actually it took me more work than I had anticipated.
Do you know
I'm
what it
very
reminds me of? Do you remember in the old days of the early websites when you had put your mouse over an image and the image would change? It's using that exact principle, except instead of the mouse, it's your voice.
right.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly. Professor R2, I'm not a musician, but I have a very sharp ear and AI sticks out like a sore thumb. I agree. And I agree with what Script was saying. And also, I think, Ro, they don't mix it at the same, like they do everything at the same time. They just kind of, uh, it's a rush job. Like, even though, relatively speaking, I think that the results sometimes are really impressive. As a musician, you know that there's something off about it. But give it time. It's all going to improve, and that's going to improve as well.
Adobe has a character animator for you guys to play around with.
Yes, and I have it, and I've tried it before, but I would have to like I tried using something with this character, and for what I needed, what my solution was okay. But maybe at some point I'll try the Adobe character thing. Rockstar Price of Reason Live, in the words of Matt Parker, stand-up mathematician, he wrote some terrible Python code. That's fair enough. I have a great video I can send you for OBS. Yeah, you can send that to Script, but I actually I sent you a good video, I think, Script, for stuff. I don't know if you ever looked at it.
I got a barrage of videos. If it's to my email, I am so backlogged right now. I'm like 3 months behind on my email. But yeah, I'll be, when things slow down in a few weeks, I'll be getting to that as well.
Rondon Affair says, I doubt the Price knows that you and I both have a background in computer tech. That's Tex Rogers he's telling him. Yep, about 40 years of experience on my part. That's pretty cool. Rigging a puppet in Adobe Tool is insanely complex. What I'll say is this, is that, I got my degree in computer science about 30 years ago, so you're up 10 on me. Basically, I've studied in the past, probably many years ago, studied some computer. I have some computer background, but it's not like as elaborate as yours.
Yeah, all I've got is my A+ in networking, but that's from 2002, and it barely holds up to today.
I mean, back in the day, I had like capabilities of sort of a network administrator, like an minimum IT, some kind of IT capabilities. Like, can't really explain it, but I had something like that. I studied back in the day things like Basic, Pascal.
Oh, Basic. Yeah, I remember Basic.
COBOL.
So Pascal was really a programming language to learn programming languages. And then you had to go graduate to C. C was the be all and end all back in the day.
COBOL. What's the C? I think I also studied C. Isn't there something COBOL? Why do I think there's something called COBOL? I don't know.
There's a COBOL. There's Perl. There's also that.
So yeah, back in the day, I actually studied all of that. But for me, the knowledge is so thin these days. I also have like some minimal like HTML kind of stuff. Very just minimal stuff. I'm not. Nobody would count on me to code or program anything. And over the years, many years, I haven't really done anything in that field at all. So no, but I did actually study it. I mean,
yeah. No, I'm laughing at what Rose said.
What did he say?
I can make cool animated GIFs.
You know what? That's not a bad thing.
I can do that too with Macromedia Flash.
Oh my God! Remember
COBOL?
Flash?
Yeah. I'm not. I didn't say something stupid. It actually exists. Yeah. And then there was also Oracle. I don't know what it is. Some databases. SQL Server, I don't know. I'm now, it's all over the place for me. I haven't touched these things in years. And not to mention all, like, most people don't use in Microsoft, they don't use Access, but I do use Access for databases. Of course, like Excel on a fairly high level. So I used to be more involved.
Ron is falling asleep. We're losing him.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. I apologize. I don't know how I
Real
got all
2,
this.
roll it.
Yeah. Real 2. I apologize. How did we get here even?
AI.
AI.
Which,
yes.
if you want to, AI is actually not bad for teaching you how to do basic programming. So
let's move on to Real 2 before
this.
we start talking about cascading.
Let's move on to an
sheets.
interesting AI in Ziggy here on Quantum Leap Revisited.
I may have to like cut this out for the replay. This is probably the craziest. I forgot we were doing Quantum Leap for a second, so I really apologize to everybody here.
So clip this out, put it as a members aside.
A members only.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to here. And then can you see it? And big in it?
Yep. There we go.
Well, first of all, let's see, open them up and see if there's a key inside. And then they like do that. And
yeah,
like,
and he is really well preserved there. Like, look at that.
Yeah. And then he's like, it's like there's no incision. And then one of them says, he thought he'd be walking around here. Or something like that. I don't know.
And they first tried prying the tongs apart, but they can't. And then Al sees the heart of the stone and then the green engravings on the inside, and with about Nefertiti and Isis, was it? Or
right, I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
I liked their explanation when he was trying to, figure things out, like where's this, or his I guess his logic, his mindset. I like the explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And then here he's like, he pushes. This is kind of reminds me of the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom here.
Sure, yeah.
It's certainly a bit of an element. And then it opens up. Sam, it's opening up. And then they leave.
And then
they leave to be found by Belloc in the morning, who's got a 6-shooter on him.
Selloc.
It's a trap.
He's like, and then they're like,
it's too bad Sam didn't look up and go, you son of a...
Yeah, I liked it when he was saying those lines.
and then there's something where he's like, you killed this, you killed Ali, you killed this. And he's like, no, I didn't kill anybody. It must have been an accident. I didn't kill him. But now I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, he says, I've never killed anyone.
I've never killed anyone, but I'm willing to do it now. The king's ransom here.
You can live like a prince. It's like, that's an interesting mixed metaphor.
And then why does he actually go in with them? Remind me.
He wants to see proof of the stone, of how they got out, and Sam's not going to tell him.
Nick has entered the building.
He's here.
Hello.
Oh wow! Hey, how's it going, Nick?
Going okay. I've busy day and it's not done, but I figured I would stop in for a few minutes. If I had $250 for every 09 Ford Ranger I had to do after hours, I'd have $750, which I do. So 3 Ford Rangers, same year, all lost their keys in 3 different counties.
Wow.
That's a commute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you should have told them you have Quantum Leap Revisited.
Well, I already had a booked day, and so it's like around the time I messaged you, I got all 3 of these calls back to back within an hour. I thought somebody was pranking me. I was like, I can't believe there are 3 people with the same year, make, and model who lost their keys all at once.
Or they were all stolen, and someone's ready to take some cars illegally at a later date.
That's always possible, although the one I just did was up in the hills. So
the chat is still talking about websites and technical stuff.
I don't know what I started here. Yeah, Marlo Sherendorf says, I build website and demos for celebs. That's good to know. And Tex Rogers does basic HTML for archival website. created some stuff for small businesses. Only on this chat I could say something that completely is off topic, like for Quantum Leap, and yet everybody everybody is into it, which is great. So right here inside, he wants him to show him the jewel, or how he got out.
He wants the jewel for himself, and he wants to, figure out a way to get out with it. And so as the doors are starting to come down, Sam does his famous kick.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Right, his famous roundhouse kick where he gets rid of the gun, and as he goes there, they jump out.
Escape. And then Al's like, "Oh, you guys are okay." And then, there's like, "Okay, well, the storm's still coming. You got this much time to get out." And of course, Sam can't let the guy inside suffocate, so he tells him how to escape. And as he tells him how to escape, Al goes, "Hey, you know that chip that was malfunctioning? We just got a new one from Egypt that didn't exist before." So they changed history. And as he's pushing to get out, that's the cool shot.
Right, that's the cool shot. That is pretty cool. That is a moment we don't often see on Quantum Leap, where like the mummy would actually be the mummy. I thought it would end like ambiguously, but the fact that you see the hand, I think that's kind of cool.
And then Al goes inside to look.
He's like, "Hey, Al, look inside and see what's happening." And then Al goes inside and he looks, and then he comes back and he's like, "He's killing him. Who? Ptah-Hotep. Ptah-Hotep."
He did.
And then he like said, "Go, go, go." But what about Razul? No, he's dead already. Go outside. And then like he
change
pushes
into
her
some
out.
pants.
Pushes her out, and then he
leaps. He leaps. Yeah.
Didn't they need to get him out before he leaps? But whatever.
I think he'd be following her.
And then he arrives, and he's with Bob Saget on stage doing stand-up.
Telling some dirty jokes in Las Vegas.
And this was so hard to watch, him just bombing there on stage.
Yeah.
And I think that somehow Bob Saget tells some joke about a sheep or something. I don't really know. And then
complains about some guest's ugly face or something.
And what does Sam do? I don't remember. Did you just say, "Oh boy"?
He stutters.
Well, at the very end, he says, and what did you say? And he says,
"Oh boy,
oh boy,
oh boy." And then it ends.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Tex Rogers mentions that for him too, it seems like it was a sudden leap out.
Pretty sudden, yeah.
It does seem rather sudden in the sense that also they didn't tell him what happens to everybody. What happens? Do we just assume that nobody ever talks about this Ptah-Hotep again?
He does tell him that it's still never found again.
Oh, he does actually tell him?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they search
because he's telling them stuff while they're trying to escape.
Right.
Yeah. Like while he's pushing her out, he's giving him information. So it's part of why it feels rushed. The big thing of what he's supposedly there to fix is the fact that him and her both end up dead. Now, why he's not there to save all the other people that died, I don't know.
Maybe they weren't that important, Nick.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
They seemed a lot more genuine. They were, but
yeah, no, it's not nice that he couldn't help them, but it is what it is. Only the guy at the end that he was the bad guy, so maybe that he couldn't help him, but some of the other people.
There was a lot of interesting twists, because they reveal that guy wasn't responsible for any of those other deaths. All that stuff that was like, oh, that's too much of it was a coincidence or it was the curse, but it wasn't. It wasn't him. It was only after he realized, hey, it's only the three of us left, and if I kill the two of you, then all the money is mine.
Yes.
He thought it was the woman doctor that was doing the woman lady doing all the stuff. Yeah.
The woman lady?
You know what I'm trying to say.
The reinforcement of the woman lady as opposed to the various other type of pseudo women out there.
I like that they brought back. There was might even have been a whole season ago, but there was another one where he was doing a whodunit, and the whole time was that the one with the storm, where I was like, "It's this guy." It's definitely this guy. No, it's this lady.
Oh,
he went right back to the same thing. Like he loves when they don't know somebody is committing this. He's like, oh, it's definitely her.
And then at the end, it's I knew it was that weasel.
Yeah.
Ron Donofrio said, I like the whodunit part of it. It's very Al, though. That's a very typical Al thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you guys were just mentioning about that part that you really liked it. I actually didn't like the part of the mummy. And it's not because I have a problem with there being a mummy or any of that kind of stuff. It's because it jumps the shark a little bit for the show. And that this show has done a really good job of playing the line between there is a higher power or there isn't. I guess they already kind of did that with the angel lady a couple episodes ago, but I liked much better like when they leave it up to a little bit of a mystery. And the way I would have done it if I was doing the show is I would have had him scream. I would have had Al go in there. You could even show the mummy. You could show him seeing the mummy, but then have Al go in there and he's just screaming and then he died. Like Al can't see anything, but he can.
Like a delusional perspective thing or a mirage.
Right, yes.
Yes.
That could have been pretty cool. I would have been okay with that. I don't disagree with you, Nick.
Yeah.
I just felt like it would have kept more with the theme of the show. Like, was he being exposed to something in there? Was it, what happened? Or is it the supernatural thing?
Mm-hmm.
I like it when it's more the wink and the nod and it leaves it a little bit more open.
Okay, there's a few things going on here. Ron Donofrio says, disagree, Nick. Didn't jump the shark. Fun stuff. I liked it, but I can also see what you're saying. I don't think it's a bad idea to have done it the way you did it, but it also didn't bother me that they did it the way they did it. Tex Rogers is saying, what about a portrait for Troyan? That was also one that there's a lady that died a few hundred years ago, or 100 years ago, and she suddenly, her body was found in the river. There was something spooky about that one that was a bit, out there. There's one. What about the episode of that was the boogeyman one that you didn't like and didn't watch?
The young Stephen King, yeah.
But going back to the one about the one that you said before that one does leave it ambiguous. Like there's all these coincidences that make it seem like it's got to be something supernatural, but they don't 100% confirm it.
I agree. Listen,
like they leave it that way. I like that feel of it. And this is it's making me think of there's a MacGyver episode where the whole thing is about UFOs, and this whole time there's this Kirby salesman that keeps showing up. And at the end of the episode, we've disproved it. It wasn't UFOs, all this. He walks around the corner, then he goes back to talk to the guy, and the guy's beamed away or something. You don't see it, but it's that guy was an alien, or he wasn't. That it's up to the audience to debate it. And I like it. I like it when they leave it for the audience to debate it. I guess is what I'm saying.
I guess Ron Donofrio said, and I like the angel. Wish she'd been in more episodes. Yeah, I liked her too. I thought that was a good idea. Yeah, I think that it's fine, Ghost Ship. I think that there's a lot of ways that they could have gone about this. I didn't mind what they did, but I respect what you're saying, Nick, because they certainly took a step further here than they usually do, and I could see why that wouldn't be for everybody. Personally, I think as a kid I liked it, and I still like it. It didn't make me see the show differently or like it any less, but I can appreciate if somebody feels differently, and if it was more than just the arm, like the little hand on the shoulder, I thought that was still in the realm of I was cool with it. But maybe if it was much more than that, I would have already thought it was too much.
Like I said, I wouldn't necessarily change that. I would have just changed what Al saw.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Okay. Well, I think that, this is a good time for us to just give our thoughts about each episode. What did you think of? I mean, each of us to give a thought about our episode. What did you think about the episode, Nick?
I enjoyed it. It was a fun episode. It was a trope that has been done in other shows. Kind of the even this specific mummy too. So, but it was fun. I liked. the kind of like him constantly going, it's not the curse, it's not the curse. And I really liked the moment when he started talking about how as a kid this made him feel like he was time traveling, and like kind of going back into what connecting it for Sam, deepening Sam's character. Okay, he likes this archaeology, he likes ancient Egypt, and so I thought that was cool. As far as the story and kind of the purpose of Quantum Leap, I did feel it. Anytime they show Sam not save somebody, I kind of have a little bit of an issue. It like when he leaps in and somebody dies in the first few minutes, I'm like, well, why wasn't he leaping in earlier to prevent that? What's the choosing of when he should be leaping in and fixing something? So all these other guys that are dying that Sam doesn't save, I do have a little bit of issue with that. But to do the trope of the curse, you have to have that.
Yeah, you had to have it, and it was fun. But in my opinion, Script, how did you feel about it?
I enjoyed this show because I liked how it delved into Egyptology, and I liked how Sam was like excited about it as well. It's a good form of discovery, nice little mystery. Is it the curse? Is it someone murdering them? Good gimmicks to have. Cast was, of course, excellent, and the acting was fun. And I also liked a little bit of the puzzles themselves. I'm figuring out ways to discover more of the tomb. Yeah, it all worked out well. And yeah, I agree that it was a little rushed towards the end, but I would say it's a little bit better than average episode.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And then let me see for a second. Ro, how did you feel about this episode?
I think I'm going to agree with everybody, what everybody said. Nick, Script, I think, it obviously played on my love of Indiana Jones. And actually, when I was 13, 14 years old, I really got into King Tut and Howard Carter. I was going to say John Carter, but he's from Mars. But Howard Carter and Lord Carnarvon and the curse and all that stuff. So I really got into this episode because of that. It had some really great little production things that I enjoyed. We mentioned that crane shot and some of the other things that were part of this episode. Yeah, I mean, my only downfall was that it did seem, I guess for me, it seemed a little confusing as to why they were there for a while. And then what really bothered me is that it just seemed like it just ended really abruptly. He leaped like right in the middle or at the beginning of what I thought was going to be a little bit ending on an action scene, and all of a sudden he's gone. So that was a little jarring to me.
Bit of a surprise, I agree.
Yeah.
But overall, for me, I think that this is probably for me like a top 30 episode, maybe a top 25 episode. I would have to think like more about the episodes, but this is like an upper part of the table. It's not my favorite episodes, but it's a fun one for me. And it's one that's memorable, and I think that I would give it, I would, without thinking about it further, I would easily give it like top 30.
Sure, yeah.
For me, though. And then I guess you guys can say, where in the table would you put it?
Say again?
Like,
Top
would it be
50
in your top?
probably for me.
Top 50?
I'd have to really look at it to place it.
Script?
Yeah, I would say it'd be in the middle range for me. Like, yeah, like it's not like a have to go see, but it's one that if I saw it on television midway, I would stick for the rest of it.
Row?
46.
46? Okay. So I was the most generous. I said top 30. In any case,
Are you ranking them as we go, Ro?
I want to also just mention everybody that was here. I want to quickly say hi to people. Sorry.
One quick thing. I would say one thing that this episode did make me realize is that, and this is because of the budgets and restraints of the show, but this made me realize something that I felt Quantum Leap could have had, should have had, but unfortunately doesn't, is a lot more of different cultures. And, I think it would have been, as the show is getting a little more long in the tooth. They've run through a lot of the gamuts. I think it would have been interesting to see him suddenly be in a Chinese village or in Sweden or something in England or just kind of
Zaire before it became the Republic of Congo. Yeah.
yeah, just something that where we could see and there's conflicts in like you were talking about like Congo and all the there's a lot of African conflicts he could have been in the middle of, the Hutus and the Tutsis. There's interesting stuff up there that if they had the budget where they could go to these places and film this or recreate these places, that I think would have been interesting. But I understand on a TV budget how stuff like that would be really hard to fit in. But it's one of those things that this episode made me realize that I wanted more.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Mary White. This was very nice of you. Not only did you collect the names, but you also did it with a super chat, with 2 super chats, one for $5. Now, shout outs Juan Carlos Gonzalez Jr., Malachi D. Wildman, Rob Skubla, Ron Donofero, Marlo Sharondoff, Kit Kat, Tex Rogers, Deeple 101. And then there's a second super chat, which really thank you very much. The Dead Man, Marks for 7, Tracy Alexander, Murakstra, Ghost Fixter, Professor R2, Scribe Light, Storm King, and of course Price Rose Script and Nick. Thank you so much for the super chats. I really appreciate it, Mary. Appreciate you hanging out with us every week. It's always
Did you
cool.
do Ghost Fixter?
Yep, but
yes.
Andrew Seaton is the one that came in late. Hi, Andrew. Good to see you, man.
So wait a second. Yeah, you're right. There were a few more. Storm King, I don't know if was on there. Andrew Seaton, Murakstra. I think we said those.
Yep.
But
Ghost Fister's on there.
Thank you so much.
I gotta say, I've obviously been on my show. I've been on other people's shows, and I got to tell you, the people in this chat are the most cool people in all chat on the internet ever. You guys are so interactive, so very nice, and it's one
nice to each other too.
Absolutely.
It creates a feeling like a group of people are hanging out, and that doesn't always happen on stream. So that's the part that I feel like we're all very lucky. So I agree with Ro, and I also want to agree with Nick. I agree that if they had a bigger budget and not the TV thing where they need an episode every 5 minutes to air, like the kind of amount of episodes they did during those days, there was probably more ideas of taking him to different places in the world that they could have explored. But I'm happy with what we got. It still was great for what
you know what would have been a fun way to do it? Just like both a lot of shows at the time, MacGyver, Murder, She Wrote, when the show ended, they did a bunch of for TV movies.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's what they could have done. Like, let's do Quantum Leap, but bigger. And so that you would get like Quantum Leap in Paris or, you know.
They discuss
the Brady Bunch Hawaii episodes.
Yeah.
They discussed different ideas from what I know. When the thing went off the air, there were talks about making TV movies. I don't know if as elaborate as you're saying. There were a bunch of different ideas. They never came to fruition. And unfortunately, I don't want to say that it almost feels like they were waiting for Dean Stockwell to pass away. But the second they did, they suddenly wanted to make the sequel series, which always has really annoyed me. But I don't want to get into that again. We were talking about positive things like the wonderful people in this chat. And also on this panel, if you're not already subscribed to Backyard Tardis on YouTube, you should be. He is a member of the Red 5 Network, which is a network of podcasters that Ro is the co-founder of. And you guys should check that out. Let me actually put this now in the chat. So tell some jokes, Nick, or something. Let me try to find this.
Well, the job I was just on, it was a crew of guys working, and the one guy came up to me and he's like, "Don't let this gringo fool you. The boss is that guy over there, the Mexican with the ponytail." And I don't know why he thought that was hilarious to tell me that, but he just walked away laughing. It's like, okay.
Maybe it was like an insider joke.
Yeah, I was like, But
Oh wow, you changed your YouTube handle to Backyard Tardis.
yes, I did.
I'm
yes, I
so
did. I figured that
happy.
out.
Oh, very nice.
Finally, this is so important. I'm so happy that you did that.
Yeah.
I was actually having to change something else for something, and then I'm like, I wonder if that's how it works on YouTube. And I went back and found it.
Very nice.
I think it's great that you finally did that. Now, when I share it, people know that I'm sharing your thing. And by the way, if you see me sharing these things, make sure to subscribe. I did the Script Doctor now, and now I'm going to find the podcast. It's funny because your logo row says Sacrif Podcast, but actually, if you actually want to find it, it's Sacrif Scuttlebutt Podcast.
It'll go both ways.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us this week. You guys are great, and we'll see you all next week. Andrew Seaton has subbed to Rose's channel and Script's channel and Nick's channel, and that's greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. And yeah, we'll be here next week. There's that fun episode with Bob Saget. Always nice to see the late Bob Saget. So that'll definitely be a cool episode to look into.
Oh, and the lovely Sherry popped in. Hey.
Oh, the lovely Sherry. Hey, how's it going? Nice to see you. And in addition to that, thank you, panel. Thank you, Tracy. So, and Andrew Seaton said, I'm watching Quantum Leap from season 1 as my friend put them on a Fire Stick for me. I see. Cool. And the week after next week is certainly going to be an interesting episode because that one is the season finale of season 4, I believe. So
yes.
We definitely have some interesting things going on in the next few weeks. A lot to talk about, and we're excited to see you there. So on that positive note, I'm going to find our outro, play it, and we'll all be on our way. You all have a great evening, and I'll see you soon.
Excellent.
I'm such an awesome guy. I make so many videos. And my friends are awesome too. They make so many videos. I'm such an awesome guy. Rum